Believe it or not, this week, Lathan Ransom walked off the practice field. He's not day-to-day anymore. Ryan Day said he's ready to go, full practice and ready to play. These are snap judgments. It's Wednesday. It is a Woody Wednesday. That's Bill Landis. I am Austin Ward. There wasn't actually any gray area in there with Lathan Ransom's status update from Ryan Day. And frankly, I'll have to eat my words. I did not think there was any way that he'd be playing against Penn State.
Watching him walk into the stadium last Saturday, I certainly didn't think there was much of a chance that he'd play. I thought he was still walking with a little bit of a limp even off the practice field tonight, but he had his pads. He definitely was doing stuff. He was running around out there when we got in here for the interviews. So I know guys that can continue to feel better and better throughout the week. They have one more practice this week before the walkthrough and then obviously the game on Saturday. So I'm probably a little skeptical that he might play still, but was ready to go and then asked if he was going to play, and it was yes from Ryan Day. So
yeah, he doubled down on that. And so now you could say don't necessarily believe everything that Ryan Day says about injury updates during that would probably be good advice. But we did put eyeballs on him. And Lathan Ransom was getting extra work with Caleb Downs and Davis Sigmanosin well after practice tonight. Didn't stay out there quite as long as Caleb Downs, who got work until just after 7:11 p.m. Walking off with JT Tuimoloau, a new workout buddy for him into the late hours as it got dark outside. But Zen Michalski trending the other direction, not a surprise. But Lathan Ransom going this direction certainly would be. If he plays, I don't know. What do you think that means, Bill?
I mean, it's a welcome addition back to the defense, right? And it's not like Ryan didn't say he practiced and then it's like we didn't see him. Like we saw him doing things. So I will take him at his word for that, of course. It would be a huge deal, especially I think this will be a more, even if Drew Aller plays, I think still a more run-oriented offensive attack for Penn State. And Lathan this year has been one of the better run defending safeties in the country. He's a huge part, obviously, of what Ohio State wants to do defensively. So if you get him in there, he's played in games like this before, right? You want his experience out there too. I thought that the guys who played last week against Nebraska filled in pretty well. And it was kind of a weird thing with Jordan Hancock and I guess Lorenzo Styles traveling together and Arvell Reese and Jalen McClain traveling together. This is also, I think, probably a pretty heavy 4-3 game for Ohio State. So if for whatever reason Lathan couldn't play, I guess maybe you'd see more Jalen McClain than anybody else out there. I don't know. That's me making an assumption, but you'd rather have Lathan Ransom out there, and hopefully if he does play, he's as close to 100% as he can be because you want him playing at max capacity.
Yeah, I didn't think it was seamless the way that they were pairing those substitution groups, especially as I mentioned immediately, just to nitpick on one particular play when Arvell Reese was ejected for targeting, which was overturned, but they gave up the deep throw, and maybe you'd say, well, they wound up forcing a fumble on that in reality in this parallel universe.
I guess it should have been, yeah.
So, maybe it would have worked out fine for them. Either way, Ohio State got a bunch more reps and experience and was able to tinker and see if Jalen McClain would be ready for that moment, if Jordan Hancock can move to safety in a pinch, if Lorenzo Styles is ready for a heavier workload at nickel, which it seemed like he did fine. He spoke, Lorenzo, after practice on Wednesday night. I think he's certainly carrying a lot of confidence for the workload that he's been able to, take on his shoulders and the way he's delivered. Arvell Reese, we've seen that since the start of the year and back to training camps. There are things that Ohio State has found out in the meantime. And the only reason that I bring that up is because this would be the first week back for Lathan Ransom. It did seem initially like it might be a several week recovery process for him with that lower body situation. So you may need to turn to that anyway on the road at Penn State, but it won't be on short notice and it won't be unprepared.
Yeah, maybe it will be like a platoon thing still at safety with Lathan Ransom as part of that. I don't know. He's a tough dude who's played through a lot in his career already, right? So I'm not going to be surprised at all if Lathan Ransom tries to give it a go against Penn State. I just the initial prognosis was more long-term than just missing one game. So I am a little surprised that Ryan Day was so definitive in saying that he will play this weekend.
Yeah, that was a surprise. He didn't play around, make as many, less definitive statements about Zen Michalski the way that he did on Tuesday, where it was like, well, they're going to get him back out there and practice and make an evaluation. Again, you have to parse Ryan Day injury language, but trending the wrong way means not Saturday, and for who knows how long after that.
Yeah, which is like we talked about that on Tuesday, right? We weren't expecting Zen to play this weekend. And I thought even throughout the course of the press conference, it seemed pretty clear if you've been in there enough.
Bennett Christian followed it up by saying, when you lose another offensive lineman, everyone has to step up.
Yeah, and Carnell Tate was also asked about offensive line, and he referred to injuries, not injury, to Josh Simmons. So we're reading tea leaves, but also Ryan Day said, like, Zen's not going to play. He did not say who would play.
Got to wait till Saturday.
Yeah, wait till Saturday. We didn't see anything. Sometimes we catch a little peek of Ohio State doing stuff when we're here on Wednesdays. I certainly didn't see anything that would indicate one way or the other who was going to play left tackle. The assumption, I guess, would be still Donovan Jackson, but I'm a little less certain on who would play left guard. I think it would make sense if it was Austin Sareveld, assuming he gets a full week of practice at left guard. But Luke Montgomery would have to be in that mix based off what happened last week, and perhaps Carson Hinsman. So we'll see exactly what that configuration is, and I don't know. Maybe Ryan Day might drop another hint about that during his radio show on Thursday. But Wednesday night, he did not want to say who would be the starting left tackle on Saturday.
Are you like me, hypothesizing, speculating, projecting? I feel like I'd be very surprised if it was not Donovan Jackson at left tackle and Austin Sareveld at left guard.
I would likewise be surprised, yes.
Yeah. And I guess I can sort of understand the emergency situation. Austin Saraveld's repping at right guard. That's where he is. I don't know that I necessarily agree with it. Doesn't matter. I'm not an offensive line coach or a coach of any kind. He had already started on the left side this year. Surely in an emergency situation, he could have done that on Saturday. Didn't. But now with a full week of, or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of practice, to go right back over there where he had already replaced Donovan Jackson doesn't seem like a huge ask to me.
I wonder too if that happened and then it was 3rd and 9, right? And they threw that weird screen pass to Travion Henderson that made it 4th and forever. And they didn't really have a real possession after that. I wonder if that had happened at a different juncture of the game, maybe if we would have even seen Austin Sareveld after you sort of get out of the fog of realizing that you just lost another left tackle. So I get what they did in that moment. I don't. And it could very well be an indication of what they plan to do on Saturday. That just wouldn't be my guess based off of how Austin Sareveld has been treated this year, which prior to Josh Simmons' injury was as the 6th offensive lineman.
All right. That's covering the Wednesday injury bases. What else did you learn?
Well, I would say one other injury thing is that Will Kasmarek didn't have his arm in a sling. He was in a jersey and pants. He wasn't in pads, didn't have his helmet, but last week on Wednesday, he was in a sling. Saturday at the game, he was in a sling. And today he wasn't. So that's... We knew that he would eventually be back, and I'm not going to take a guess on when just based off of the fact he doesn't have his arm in a sling, but I would think that he doesn't, and he was wearing his practice uniform, that maybe he was out there running around and doing some stuff today, so that's encouraging.
Yeah, that's a good update. Good point. All right, what else?
Ryan Day asked about the defensive line stuff and the rotation and the personnel and some of the things we were asking Jim Knowles about on Tuesday. He reiterated that he wants to see some guys roll there and play a little more. I don't think it's a case of him wanting an even split between all the defensive linemen who they think are capable of playing, but I think he would like to see guys like Caden McDonald, and he didn't say Edric Houston's name, but I think Edric Houston might be pushing himself to be in that category too, to play more throughout the course of the game so that the 4 core guys are as fresh as they possibly can be at the end of games. And we've had this discussion before, but I don't know that Ryan Day has ever said so explicitly that I'm the head coach. Ultimately, it falls back to me, and we want to rotate guys. And he didn't say it in any kind of way that was I can't believe we're the way we're going about things. He was just wanted to reiterate the point that if he wants guys to rotate, guys will rotate. So I guess look out for that on Saturday.
Yeah, I wonder if he was surprised to get asked about that 2 days in a row, because the answer was not really any different than the one he gave on Tuesday. But Jim Knowles followed him in the press conference on Tuesday and was well, that's up to Coach Johnson, and he knows what he's doing. And I think that, that answer, candidly, I did not think that would be what Jim Knowles would say. And if that forced, Ryan Day back into this situation where he's is that really what's going on here? You're the head coach and he's the defensive coordinator. Is that how the structure should go? Which I think is a fair follow-up based on what Jim Knowles said.
Yeah, I think so. Ryan Day was asked about it on Tuesday, and I thought maybe asked a little more what's the right word for it? Like explicitly about it on Wednesday night, and basically just like saying Jim Knowles' words back to him and asking him if he was like okay with that.
Yeah,
it is like it's like a tricky balance, right? Because I think to a certain extent, like position coaches should be in charge of that to the point where you think maybe they're playing the wrong guys. And I'm not saying Ohio State's playing the wrong guys, but I think there are guys who have shown an ability to play more than they are. So why wouldn't you use it? And Ryan Day seems to be of the same mind.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like based on what we've seen in the production when those guys have been in there, there's got to be opportunities for Caden Curry and Caden McDonald, most specifically to me. And perhaps that's Edric Houston on the rise as well. I know for certain that there are people in the Woody who would like to see him get some of those same looks and maybe more than, a 5 or 6 snap cameo that he got against Nebraska. Although maybe that's what you need to start proving that, and then you can build on that. I don't know, and it's not my decision anyway. So
keep asking about it. Maybe they'll give you the keys.
I don't know. I don't think I want them either.
Probably not. No.
I'll take the paycheck.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So Bennett Christian, Carnell Tate, and Lorenzo Styles were the 3 Buckeyes that met with the media collectively after Ryan Day. Mm-hmm. So that was not a trio that was going to give a lot of insight into what's going on with some of the positions that we've talked about a lot. Although Bennett Christian, with his role and the importance of the tight ends helping whoever's going to play at left tackle, was brought up a fair amount. I think he really wants that opportunity.
I think so. We've not talked to him a ton. Maybe this is the second or third time we've talked to him this year, but every time he says some version of, I want to run through someone's face, and so give me all the opportunities you can to block. And I think he maybe, on the one short yardage play, I think there was a miscommunication that did involve him. I'm sure, I don't know if he was asked about that, but I'm sure he would like to make up for that. I still think he's a pretty good blocking tight end. I think he'll show up fairly consistently for this team. He certainly needs to, especially in light of the left tackle stuff, but he didn't give anything away. So kudos to him, who's not a super veteran media guy, for not tipping the hand on who will play left tackle. Although maybe it's not that much of a secret either.
I'm not sure that it is.
Yeah, it's probably not.
What kind of grand mystery could they unveil? I mean,
we were chatting beforehand. Someone suggested Nick McClarty. He's a big dude.
Well, I did ask.
The punter's not going to play left tackle.
I did ask Bennett Christian as he walked away. I said, "Can't you just play left tackle?"
Yeah.
And he was like, "Sure." And then he's like, "No, that's absolutely not going to happen." I said, "Hey, Reed Fragel did it. He had more than a week to prepare, so I know it's not the same." But he's a big.
Was Reed Fragel 250 pounds? I wasn't covering the team though, so I don't know.
Well, it's a long story. I'll tell you about it later. I think most of the people watching Snap Judgments have heard it before, but if not, we'll talk about it another time. We have free time sometimes when we're not on camera or talking about. We're always talking about the Buckeyes. Thanks for joining us on this version of Snap Judgments, a Woody Wednesday. Got some injury updates, got a little bit of insight from Ryan Day, heard about the gloves for Davison Igbinosun, and then I asked Davison about it, and he's like, "Who told you that?" I'm just wearing normal gloves. So I don't know. Both Jim Knowles and Ryan Day were talking about it. Davison did not want to, so I don't have any more insight on that, but I wanted to know if they were like oven mitts, like taped around, or a club. And
I think they're like the sliding mitts you see baseball players wear. DBs wear them all the time.
Yeah.
But maybe when you have a game with 3 defensive pass interference penalties, you should wear them that week too.
Yeah. He wasn't in the mood, but I tried. I wanted to see him if it was a sliding mitt, but he didn't have them on. He did just have normal gloves on. So again, that's all I got.
It's all part of the gamesmanship in a big game week.
It is a big game week. Yep. Saturday, noon. Beaver Stadium, Ohio State, Penn State. Can't wait. It's Bill Landis. I'm Austin Ward. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll talk to you on Thursday morning on The Daily. See you there.